So local variables will be present inside the stack memory area, and for local variables memory will be allocated. Whether the constructor is called or method is called, the variables which are created inside that method will get the memory once the method is called, once the constructor is called. Then local variables will not get the default value. मतलब आपको वेरिएबल को वैल्यू असाइन करना पड़ेगा, उससे पहले आप उसको एक्सेस करने का ट्राई करते हो तो यू विल गेट द कंपाइल टाइम एरर, यू विल गेट द कंपाइल टाइम एरर, right? Now local variables, developer is supposed to assign a value for that, and local variables cannot be accessed outside of the method or a constructor or block. आपने मेन मेथड के अंदर वेरिएबल्स क्रिएट किया तो आप उसको मेन मेथड के अंदर ही एक्सेस कर सकते हो, बाहर एक्सेस नहीं कर सकते, ठीक? Then I have just given a table to differentiate between local instance and static. So local variables are created inside method, block, constructor. Instance variables at class level outside of all other components. Similar thing, class variables, static variables are created outside of all other components. Why do we use this? We use local variables to store temporary calculations. We use instance variables to store object specific information. We use static variables to store common data across all objects. Now local variables, when they get the memory and where they get the memory. So they will get the memory inside the stack. Instance variables will get the memory at heap, and static variables will get the memory inside the class or method memory area. How do we access them? So local variables can be accessed directly. We don't need any class name or a reference. Instance variables, if you want to access, we need a reference. For the static variables, we need class name dot variable name. When they get the memory, so local variables will get the memory when the method, constructor or block is executed or called. Instance variables will get the memory when the object is created. Static variables will get the memory when the class is loaded in the memory. When local variables will be deleted, when the method or block or constructor execution is complete. Then instance variables will be deleted when the object is deleted. Similarly, static variables will be deleted when the class is unloaded from the memory. How many times they get the memory? So local variables will get the memory every time method is called. Instance variables, every time object is created, your instance variables will get the memory. Static variables, they will get the memory at the time of class loading and only once. Default value, local variables will not get. Default value will not be assigned to local variables because developer is supposed to do that. For the instance variable and the static variable, they will get the default value. Now, do we need to create object of these to access? So if you want to access local variable, do we need to create object? No. To access instance variable, do we need to create object? Yes. To create static variable, to access static variable, do you need object? We don't need object. We can directly access with the help of class name. So this is the overall structure. You can remember what all things are there for the variables. This is very much like descriptive. All of the differences will be covering in this. Then we talked about methods. So methods are nothing but representing task in your program. If you want to get complete some task, you have to use methods. So task is nothing but a method, function, procedure or a routine. Now method is nothing but a block of code which is written inside the curly braces, which we will write the name, which will accept some input, which will return some output also, right? So methods are something which are specific to object that are called as instance methods. Methods which are common for all of the objects are called as static method. So static method we create with a static modifier. So what are methods? Method is a block of code or a block of statements, group of statements enclosed inside the curly braces, which might accept input and may return output also. How do we create a method? We create a method name, then we may pass input and we write the curly braces and we may return some value also. What are the types of methods we have? We have instance methods and static methods. So these methods are object specific, and if you want to access instance method, we have to access with the help of reference variable. So reference variable dot method name. So method definition and method invocation, there are two parts. We define the method first and then we call the method. If we do not call the method, then there is no use of that particular method. We have to first define method and then call the method. Then only it is useful. Right? How do we create an instance method? So we directly write without static keyword. We write the method at the class level. Can we define a method inside method? No, we cannot write or we cannot define a method inside the method, another method. Static method, it is a method which is common for all of the objects. It is a method which is common for all of the objects, and we access the static method with the help of class name and the static method name. This is how we create a static method. No, not call, define, create. No, we cannot. There are two things, method definition and method call. So we are going to call the methods from one method, another method. So we'll have one method, from that method we will call another methods, call. But definition cannot be done inside the method. Definition cannot be done inside the method. It should be outside of the creation. Correct. Yes, same all four methods. Then we have seen third component. What is the use of constructor? To create the object. So constructor, what is constructor? It is a special method which has same name as of your class name, no return type, no modifier. Three things: same name as of your class name, same name as of your class name, with the no return type, no modifier. It is called as constructor. Why do we use constructor? Why do we use constructor? We use constructor to create objects. What are the different types of constructors we have? Correct. So we have default, zero parameterized and parameterized. So default constructor, if there is no constructor provided by the programmer, then Java compiler will provide a constructor which does not accept any parameter, which is used to initialize the object with default values. Now zero parameterized constructor, it is provided by the developer, which has an implementation body which does not accept the parameters. So that is called as zero parameters. And we use zero parameters constructor what purpose? What is the reason? For assigning the dummy values. These are not real values, these are again dummy values. Then how to call a constructor? This is how we create an object. This is just a call to the constructor. So this is a zero parameterized constructor and we are calling this one. Right? What is parameterized constructor? It is provided by the developer which has implementation body and the parameters also. So we use this particular constructor to initialize the values with real values, actual values. Right? So these are different types of variables. We have constructors and methods. Then we have blocks. So we have blocks, two types, instance block and static block. So it is a block of code written inside the curly braces at class level without any modifier, without any return type and without any parameter. Why do we use? We use this to perform some non-initialization activity, such as let's say I want to maintain the number of objects created or when the object was created, such as auditing information. That is kind of auditing information or logging information. How to use that? How to create that? This is how we create, simply at class level. When it will be executed? When the instance block will be executed. When the object is created, constructor will be called. From the constructor, there will be a call to the instance block. How many instance block we can write? We can write any number of instance block. And if I create one object, all the instance blocks from top to bottom will be executed. But there is no reason to create multiple. We can write everything in one only instance block. So at that end, all the instance block will be combined together and will be executed as a one instance block for every object creation. Now let's say I have 10 instance block and I created one object, then all instance block, 10 instance block will be combined as one and will be executed top to bottom. Right? So it is not required to create multiple blocks. Check. Static block. Yes, static block. It is a block of code written inside the curly braces with a static keyword. We use this to perform some one-time activity such as database connection or loading the drivers or loading the server configuration. How to use this? This is how we use this. So static block, and I write like this. Tick. When it will be executed only once at the time of class loading. Now, what is the order of execution of instance block, constructor, and static block? Static, instance, and constructor. Perfect. Then we have seen nested classes. What is nested class? Nested class is a class which is created inside another class. Now, what are the different types of nested classes? We have three types: non-static nested class, static nested class, and local inner class. So, non-static nested class is also called as inner class, and local inner class, it is a class which is created inside a method. First of all, what is non-static nested class? A class which is created inside another class without static keyword. Now, inside the inner class, we cannot write static variable, static method, static block, static nested class. Okay, so why static members are not allowed for the inner class? Because inner class is object specific. Inner class itself is a object specific. That's why. Then how do we create that? We have a variables. Then we have inner class. This is called as inner class. Then how to access the members of this particular class? First of all, you have to create object of outer class. Then outer class I access like this. Then I create object of inner class with the help of outer reference variable dot new, and then we access the members like this. This is your inner class. Then local inner class, this is very simple. It is a non-static class created inside a method or a constructor or a block. It can be inside a constructor or a block also. Local inner classes can contain only non-static members because this is local. So we cannot write static members inside this. So this will be created inside a method. We create there itself, we define there itself, we create the object and we access the member there itself. We cannot access that class outside of the method or a constructor or a block. Right? This is very simple. Static nested class we have seen in detail yesterday. So a class created inside another class with a static modifier, that is static keyword. Static nested class can have both static as well as non-static members. Remember, outer class can never be private, protected and static. मतलब जो भी अभी तक हमने क्लास क्रिएट करे थे अभी तक, तो वो क्लासेस आप वहाँ पे इसको, let's say this is a class, I have bank account class, and if you see this is public. If I try to write private, I will get compile time error. If I try to write, it is public, and if I try to write static, I will write compile time error. So outer class cannot be static, but inner class, the nested class can be static. So this is what we have seen. I have this is static nested class, this is also static nested class, this is also static nested class, this is also static nested class. This is how we create. Anonymous class, it is a class which is created. We will be seeing this once we know this inheritance concept. So it is a class without name. So anonymous class is used to create the subclass inline. So anonymous class is used to create the subclass inline. So we'll understand what is subclass, or subclass is nothing but a child class. Okay, this is something we'll cover once we know the inheritance concept. We will be coming back again to this, how to create an anonymous class. So lastly, we have seen this keyword also. So what is the use of this keyword? So what is this keyword? What is this? So first of all, it is a keyword. It is a keyword. So it is a reference variable which is pointing to the current class object. It is a reference variable which refers to the current class object, which refers to the current class object. It is a reference variable which refers to the current class object. And what are the uses of this keyword? So using this keyword, we can access the current class, instance variables, instance methods and constructors. And then we have seen very useful information about this. Whenever your local variable and the instance variable have the same name, then to differentiate between them we use this keyword, right? Now there is one more use we are going to use. Now let's say I have multiple constructors and I want to call a constructor from another constructor. For that purpose also we can use this. So we'll be seeing how to do that. Let's see this. Okay, so I have some variables and ID, string name. I have some method, that is register student is the method, and which perfect. This is one instance method I have. I will have a main method also. Then I will have a couple of constructors. Now I have constructor. This is which constructor it is? Right. Now I will generate a constructor, or I will write only student. I will accept int ID. Now this is one parameterized constructor. This accepts. Now what is the type of this variable? This is a local variable, integer local variable. Now this local variable value I want to assign it to this particular ID. Now if I write ID equal to ID, what happens? You are assigning local variable value to local variable, but I want to assign local variable value to instance variable. So how do I do that? Yes. So I write this dot ID equal to ID. Now with this what I did, I am able to actually assign local variable value to instance variable. What we are trying to do, we are assigning local variable value to instance variable. We are able to assign local variable value to instance variable. Now I will generate one more constructor. This accepts string name. Similarly, I will write this dot name equal to name. Then I will write two parameters constructor which accepts two parameters ID and name. So if you see in both the cases, your local variable name and the instance variable name, it is same. So I will use this dot name equal to name. So if you see the uses of this keyword, we are able to assign or differentiate between local variable and instance variable because of this keyword only, right? Okay. Now I will write one statement. This is one parameter, right? and this is 2 parameter constructor. So I have one parameter constructor and 2 parameter constructor, and I have one 0 parameters constructor. Now when I create object of student equal to new student, now which constructor I am calling? 0, right? I am calling 0. Now whenever the control comes inside this, now let's say from this constructor I want to call some other constructor of the same class. मुझे क्या करना है? अभी मेरा कंट्रोल कहाँ पर आ गया? 0 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर पर. अभी मुझे यहाँ से कॉल करना है लेट्स से 2 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर. कर सकते हैं क्या? कर सकते हैं. तो उसके लिए आपको लिखना है दिस और आपको उसको पैरामीटर पास करना पड़ेगा. अभी आप सेल्फ कंस्ट्रक्टर को कॉल कर रहे हो तो ये तो एरर देगा, तो आपको दूसरा कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल करना है सेम क्लास का. अभी मुझे ये कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल करना है, कौन सा वाला? 2 पैरामीटर. सो आई कैन पास हिम इनपुट 100 and ABC. So what is this? This is a call to the same class constructor. मतलब सेम क्लास का आप कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल कर सकते हो. दिस इज वन ऑफ द फीचर ऑफ दिस कीवर्ड. चलो उसको डिबग करके देखते हैं हम. लेट्स डिबग दिस. तो कंट्रोल यहाँ पर आएगा जैसे मेन मेथड एग्जीक्यूशन स्टार्ट होगा. यहाँ से हम क्या कर रहे हैं? अब 0 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर हमने कॉल करा है. यहाँ से हमने क्या करा है? पहली लाइन कॉल टू द 2 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर ऑफ द सेम क्लास. तो कंट्रोल कहाँ पर आएगी? यहाँ से यहाँ तक. फिर ये कंप्लीट होने के बाद ये प्रिंट होगा आपका लाइन, राइट? लेट्स सी दिस. ओके, सो कंट्रोल इज कमिंग टू दिस. अभी यहाँ से क्या कॉल होगा? 0 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर. 0 पैरामीटर्स आपने क्या कॉल किया है? 2 पैरामीटर्स. तो कंट्रोल यहाँ से आपका कहाँ जाएगा? अभी 2 पैरामीटर्स. तो कंट्रोल आएगा 2 पैरामीटर्स. देखो यहाँ पर F8 2 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर पे पास वैल्यू आ गया. उसका ID क्या सेट हो गया? 100 and ABC. ये प्रिंट होगा कंसोल पे 2 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर. वी क्लियर इट आउट. अभी प्रिंट होगा 2 पैरामीटर्स. फिर से कंट्रोल वापस जाएगा 0 पैरामीटर्स क्योंकि ये लाइन ही एग्जीक्यूट हुआ है. उसके बाद ये वाला भी एग्जीक्यूट होगा. तो यहाँ से 0 पैरामीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्टर एंड दैट इज end of your program. So what are the uses of this keyword? Using this keyword we can call it is a keyword which is a reference variable pointing to the current class object, right? Using this keyword we can access current class objects, instance variable, instance methods, and call constructors of the same class, right? Can do this. So you can specify, you can access the instance variable, instance methods, and you can call the constructor also. Remember this keyword cannot be used inside the static context. Static context मतलब static method, static block. Yes, Rohan. Sorry. Samarth, visible, right? It's visible, I think. Rahul, there is some network issue at your side. It's clear. So they will ask you in the interview, what is this keyword? So what you can do with this keyword? What is the use of this keyword? What it is actually? So this is a keyword which is a reference variable pointing to the current class object. And using reference variable, what we can do? We can access instance variables, instance methods, and constructor of the same class. Right? So this is one of the use of this keyword. I hope this is clear, right? This keyword. Will you be able to use that? Assignments try किया आपने? Assignments, did you try? Try to complete that, because if you do not complete that, you will struggle in the oops also. कर पा रहे हो assignments, शिवानी? कौन से वाले? क्लास एंड ऑब्जेक्ट, मेथड्स के आपके क्लास ऑब्जेक्ट मेथड्स का हो गया तुषार, क्लास एंड ऑब्जेक्ट, ठीक है. चलो थोड़ा कुछ अलग पढ़ते हैं आज. क्लास ऑब्जेक्ट बहुत टाइम से क्लास ऑब्जेक्ट चल रहा है, लेकिन अभी तक आपको क्लियरिटी आया होगा कि क्लास ऑब्जेक्ट होता क्या है, राइट? क्लास कंपोनेंट्स होता क्या है, क्या क्या टाइप्स है, इट इज़ क्लियर. नाउ नेक्स्ट थिंग वी विल टॉक अबाउट, डे वन से हमने देख रहे हैं पब्लिक स्टैटिक वॉइड मेन, पब्लिक स्टैटिक वॉइड मेन. सो कैन समवन एक्सप्लेन मी नाउ टुडे पब्लिक स्टैटिक वॉइड मेन, और हमने दिया था उसे इनपुट स्ट्रिंग आर्ग्स. So we'll ask some questions on main method. This is a main method. This is a main method. So can someone tell me why main method is static?
First, when it is coming to the main method, it will be it will not be changing. Basically, it will come to, there is only one main method, one, and it is control coming to main method and then going on sequentially.
Okay. Any other thing? Why main method is static? So let's try to understand this code. Like from the day one we have been writing this code, hello world. So I think today you'll be able to explain this me. What is this hello world program? So we are yet to complete this public access specifier. Public means this particular class is visible across your application. Class is a keyword which is used to create a class. What is main? Main is the name of the class. Okay. So what we did actually, we created a task or we created a method. Now this method is a main method. Is it compulsory to write main method in your application? In every other class? In every other class, do we need main method? No, entire application we need main method only once. Why? Because main method is the entry point. Main method is the entry point for your Java application. Now once entry is done, then we don't need main method. So why, what do you think? Main method is made as static. Okay, it is going to be changed. It is not going to be changed. Okay. This is kind of common, which is going to be common. And there is one more reason, because for static method to access, do we need to create object? We don't need to create object. Now let's say, let's assume that main method is not static. Let's say main method is not static. And then if JVM wants to call main method, what he has to do? He has to create a object. He has to create an object. Now to create an object, what we need? We need to call a constructor. Now which constructor to call? How come he will know? Getting the idea? Now let's say this class has int A, int B, and I generate a constructor. Now how come JVM will understand which constructor to call? There is going to be confusion, right? मतलब JVM को कैसे पता चलेगा? लेट्स से assume कि अभी मेन मेथड आपका नॉन स्टैटिक है. नॉन स्टैटिक है तो मेन मेथड आपको कॉल करना पड़ेगा. तो कॉल करने के लिए आपको ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा. देन यू विल गेट अ रेफरेंस एंड देन यू विल कॉल दी मेथड. बट कंस्ट्रक्टर कौन सा कॉल करना है ये कैसे पता चलेगा? अभी उसने डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल किया, लेकिन डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर अभी है ही नहीं आपके पास, तो ये भी एक कंफ्यूजन हो गया. सो टू अवॉइड ऑब्जेक्ट अननेसेसरी ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएशन and directly call the method with the help of class name, main method is static. And also main method is public. Why? Because JVM को accessible होना चाहिए. So JVM को visible होना चाहिए ना कि ये main method है, तो it should be visible, right? That's one of the reason main method is static, right? Then can someone explain me what is system.out.println? System is a predefined class. Then what is out? Out is a method. What type of method? What type of variable it is? Can someone tell me? Perfect. It is a static variable. First of all, it is a static variable. Why it is static variable? Because we are accessing that with the help of class name. So we are accessing this out with the help of class name. Okay. Now out is whether it is an integer, string, float, what is the type of variable this? First of all, it is a static variable, but static variable should be of some data type. What is the type of this variable? String. Bolo. So out is a static reference variable which is of type. Now first of all, it is a static variable. Okay. Now variable can be primitive, it can be reference. So this out is a first of all static variable, and it is then a reference variable. Then it is a reference variable, then you tell me which object it is pointing. So it is pointing to an object of type print string class. It is pointing to an object of type print string. Out is a reference variable. Then what we have? Println. What is println? It is a method. It is a method call. So what type of method it is? Println. Static, non-static. So we access methods with the help of reference variable. Then what is the type of method it is? Non-static. That will be instance method. So println is a instance method. Where it is present? It is present inside the print stream class. Okay, so let's once again see this. So system is a predefined class. Inside that class, out is a static variable. Out is a static variable, and this out is of type print stream. Out is of type print stream. What is print stream? Print stream is a predefined class. Predefined class. Then what is println? Println is a method which is present inside the print stream class, and it is a non-static method. It is a non-static method. It is a non-static method, that is instance method. Will you be able to understand? Will you be able to explain this? System.out.println. So system is a predefined class. Inside that, out is a static reference variable which is pointing to an object of print stream class, and then println is a non-static method present inside the print stream class. Perfect. Main method is static. Since JVM don't need to create an object to call the method. System is a predefined class present inside java.lang package. What is out? Out is a static reference variable of type print stream class present inside system class, right? And then println is a non-static method present inside the no, it is a separate class. These are two separate classes. System class is there and print stream class is there. See here, let me tell you. So system is a separate class and print stream is a separate class. So print stream class object is created inside the system class. once again let me tell you, this out so if you see here, out is a static reference variable. It is a static variable. First of all, it is a static variable and it is of type print stream, and the print stream class object is created inside the system class itself, and print stream is a separate class. Print stream is a separate class, and inside that you will find println is a non-static method. ठीक. ठीक. चलो. Next, we'll talk about something called as access specifiers. We'll talk about access specifiers. So sometimes people are confused between access specifier and access modifier. So a lot of people say access modifiers also, but for our easy understanding, so everything people say access specifiers or access modifiers also. So access specifiers, we mean that these are the four. What are the four? Public, private, protected, and default. So these are the four access specifiers we have. So these are small, huh? And all of these are keywords. And access modifiers, we mean static, final, abstract, synchronized, and so on. This list is too big. So these are something called as modifiers. So when I say access specifiers, I am talking about these words: public, private, protected, and default. So what is the use of these access specifiers? So what are the different access specifiers available in Java? We have public, private, protected, and default. And from day one, we have been using public, static, void, main, public. So we have been saying public, public, public since day one. So what is this public all about? What is this private, protected, and default all about? So why do we need these access specifiers? What is the use of these particular things? How they are helping us? How they are helping us for writing the program? What is the need? Can someone tell me what happens with this? So how they are helping us? How these access specifiers are helping us? What is the use? Yes. Yes, access specifiers. क्या यूज है इनका?
data access
correct? You're talking about like correct. Correct. So we have multiple now in application. In your application, so you can think of a bigger box. This is your entire application. Now in this application, what will have? You will have multiple classes. You will have multiple classes, and you will have thousands of classes, and you will organize these classes into packages. You will organize these classes into packages. So we'll have, let's say, package 1. Inside that we'll have multiple classes, right? We have another package, right? So you have multiple. What are these? We have, this is application, this is your package, this is also package. Like this we can have multiple packages. So why we are dividing this? So because we are doing this, these are multiple classes, right? Now inside the class also we have multiple things. Inside the class also, what all things we have? Variables, methods, constructors, blocks, and other nested classes also. So if you see carefully, we have a hierarchy. We have a bigger one is application, then package, then class, right? Then this is the finest level we have. We have 3 levels. What are the 3 levels? Application level, package level, and the class level. So we have 3 levels. We have package, application, and the class level. Now this is kind of we have different components. So we have entire application. Now when I say anything is, when I say this class is public, when I say this particular class I declared as public. Now this class is accessible throughout your application. This class is accessible throughout application, right? Now the outer class, what are the classes we have defined are mostly outer classes. So outer classes we have 2 options only. Outer class can be only public, protected. These are the only 2 things. Outer class can be only public and protected. Sorry, protected and default. Sorry, it should be public and default. Yes, yes, yes. So it should be public and default. Outer class can be only public and default. Now when I say outer class is public, ये कहीं से भी एक्सेस कर सकते हो थ्रू आउट दी एप्लीकेशन. डिफॉल्ट मीन्स इट इज ओनली एक्सेसिबल ओनली विद इन द सेम पैकेज. मतलब सेम पैकेज के अंदर. एक लेवल कौन सा है? पैकेज लेवल, एंड दूसरा लेवल है एप्लीकेशन. सो पब्लिक मीन्स दिस क्लास इज एक्सेसिबल थ्रू आउट योर एप्लीकेशन, एनी पैकेज, any class, anywhere. Default means this class is restricted for use only within this particular package, or a package level restriction we say. Default means package. If you do not write anything, it means it is a default. Default का मतलब होता है this particular class is only accessible within this particular package. Getting the idea? Now let's say I have 2 classes, one is public and one is default. Okay, now I have 2 classes, these 2 classes. Now this particular class can be accessed anywhere within the application, but this particular class, the boundary is set like this. So we have set the restrictions who can access this. So what we are using access specifier? We are using access specifier to set the restrictions. Who can access the class, or who can access the components of the class? Who can access the class? Who can access the components of the class? So it is used to restrict the usage, to secure them, Now when I say it is default means you cannot use this class outside of the package. When I say it is public class means it is accessible throughout your application, right? Now let's take an example. Now inside this particular level I have a class, and inside the class I am talking about this class. Now in this class I have multiple things. What are the things we have? Variable, methods, constructor, then nested classes and blocks, right? I have these many things. Now if I want to restrict the usage of these components also, I want to restrict or control who can access these particular components, that I can do with the help of access specifier. So I can apply public, private, protected, default on these particular things. So I can apply public, private, protected and default. I can apply all of these access specifiers in all of these components. So what is the use of access specifier? So first of all, they might ask you what are access specifiers. So you can say access specifiers are public, private, protected, default, and we use access specifier to set the visibility of the classes and its components across your application. Who can access these components? We can restrict that or control that. That is the use of your access specifier. Now when I say public, when I say, let's say this is public, when I say this particular variable is a public, what it means? Okay, now let's say this class is default. So I said the class is default. Default means this class is only accessible within the same package. तो आप इसको बाहर एक्सेस कर सकते हो, इसके मेंबर्स को नहीं, इसको आप इसके अंदर एक्सेस कर सकते हो, राइट? अगर ये पब्लिक है, इफ आई से दिस क्लास इज पब्लिक, तो यू कैन क्रिएट द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ दिस क्लास एनीवेयर. Does it mean that everything inside this class is public? It doesn't mean that the entire components of this class are public. It doesn't mean that way. Then if I say variable is private, now if I say this is private, if I say this particular variable or method is private, it means that private means this is private to the class. So these components cannot be accessed outside of the class. They are only accessible within the class. When I say it is public, public means this particular component can be accessed anywhere. There is no restriction. There is no restriction throughout the application. Default means this particular component is visible only within the same package. Default मतलब package. आपके पास 3 लेवल्स है, देखो. पहला वाला सबसे बड़ा लेवल है पब्लिक. जब भी आप पब्लिक बोलते हो तो आप बोल रहे हो पब्लिक इज इक्वल टू एप्लीकेशन लेवल. दूसरा होता है पैकेज, इसके अंदर आपका होता है पैकेज. पैकेज मतलब होता है आपका डिफॉल्ट. और फिर तीसरा आता है प्राइवेट. प्राइवेट मतलब आपका क्लास. क्लास, पैकेज एंड एप्लीकेशन. पब्लिक लिखा है मतलब ये कहीं से भी आप एक्सेस कर सकते हो. डिफॉल्ट लिखा है मतलब ये बस विद इन द पैकेज होगा. और प्राइवेट लिखा है मतलब ये क्लास के अंदर ही होगा. दिस विल बी एक्सेसिबल ओनली विद इन द क्लास, ओनली विद इन द क्लास. व्हाट अबाउट प्रोटेक्टेड? अभी के लिए याद रखो बिकॉज वी हैवंट स्टार्टेड विद द इनहेरिटेंस कॉन्सेप्ट. तो डिफॉल्ट एंड प्रोटेक्टेड अभी के लिए सेम याद रखो. डिफॉल्ट एंड प्रोटेक्टेड अभी के लिए सेम मतलब विद इन द सेम पैकेज. नाउ इफ आई से इफ आई मेड अ मेंबर एज पब्लिक, कैन आई एक्सेस एनीवेयर? यस. एनी पैकेज? यस. एनी क्लास? यस. इफ आई मेक अ मेंबर प्राइवेट, can I access that outside of the class? We cannot access that outside of the class. If I make a member default, can I access that outside of the class? Yes, but within the same package, ठीक है. Okay, let's take one example. This one we will take it on this itself. Now I have application. There I have 2 packages, package 1 and package 2, P1 and P2. inside package 1 I have a class A, and there I have certain variables, let's say A, B, C and D. Now I have, if I do not write anything before the class, this is a class and before that I do not write, it means it is a default, matlab this class is only accessible within the package. Just a second. सी हियर, मेरे पास अभी एक पैकेज है P1, उसके अंदर एक क्लास है A और उसके अंदर 4 वेरिएबल्स है A, B, C एंड D. नाउ आई मेड दिस public, I made this variable as private, I made this as, let's say, I do not write anything, it is default, and this is protected. Check, and this is also public, this class is public. Now inside this P2 package there is a class called as B, and there is a method public static void main, and there I try to create an object of A class, A equal to new A. ठीक है, will you be able to create object? Yes, since it is public means you can access, this will work. Now if I try to access A dot A, A dot B, A dot C, A dot D, what all things will work?
Only first.
This one only? What about this B? A dot B, we cannot access this. Why? Private. A dot C, A dot C, we cannot access. A dot D, cannot access. So we will get compile time error. You will get compile time error. Only thing you can access is A dot A. Right? Now let's assume that there is one class inside the same package, that is C class, and there I try to access all the variables. I create object of A similar just like this, A dot A, A dot B, A dot C, A dot D. So what all things I will be able to access? A dot A, can I access? Yes. A dot B? No. A dot C? Yes. A dot D? Yes. Only thing you cannot access this A dot B. Right? Now inside the A class, only I have a method, main method, and there I try to create object of this A, and I try to access A dot A, A dot B, A dot C, A dot D. What all things I can access? You can access A, you can access B also. Yes, because you have accessing in the same class. A dot C, yes. A dot D, yes. So you got the difference. In this, within the same class you can access everything. Within the same package we have this much restriction. Out of the package we have these much restrictions. So we are trying to put up the restrictions. Who can access this? Who can access this? Let's try to take this example. So in this particular package I am going to create two packages, P1 and P2. Okay. Now inside the P1 I will create a class called as A, and there I have created int A equal to, let's say, 100, int B equal to 200, C, D 400. Now if I do not write anything, it means these are default. So I will make it that public, I will make this as private, I will make this as protected, and lastly as it is default. Okay. Now we create a class, another package B, and there I create a object inside the main method. So I say AA equal to new A. So which A we are trying to use? So we have to import that. So where is this A? So this A is from package P1. So we have to write this import statement also. Import oops package inside that P1 package, and there is this class A. Okay. Now I try to access all the members of this A class, A dot A, A dot B, A dot C, A dot D. So I get a compile time error. I get a compile time error because this is not accessible. B has a private access, C has a protected access, and D has a default access. Cannot be accessed outside of the package. Now, one more thing, I make this class as default. What happens? Your class is not accessible. Your class is not accessible outside of the package. Outside of the package. So I make this as public. So this is, you are able to create object, that's fine. It doesn't mean that everything is accessible. Only class is default, but the members are still restricted. Members are still restricted. Now what I will do, I will create a class inside the same package. I will give a name as C, and there I will create a object of A again, new A, and there I try to access all the members, A dot A, A dot B, A dot C, A dot D. So except A dot B. Why B? Because B is private, B is private, A is public, C and D are protected default, so can be accessed in the same package because A and C are in the same package, they are in the same package. That's the reason we are able to access. So I will just comment out this. Now I will try to access the members of the A class in the same class. Members of A will try to access in the same class. So I create object of A and try to access. We are able to access all. How come? Because members of the same class can access directly. Simple. Any query, any doubt on this? This is very simple. This is just to restrict the component who can access. Who can? हाँ. डॉट ए नहीं चलेगा, तो यहाँ पे आपको लिखना पड़ेगा डॉट स्टार. स्टार मतलब सब कुछ. इस पैकेज से सब कुछ आप इंपोर्ट कर रहे हो. ए मतलब इस पैकेज का ए क्लास आप इंपोर्ट कर रहे हो. वी आर एबल टू एक्सेस एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम द सेम क्लास. इजी. इसमें से एक केविएट है प्रोटेक्टेड में. सो प्रोटेक्टेड अभी के लिए याद रखो. Protected members are accessible within the class, within the same package, as well as outside of the package also, but that class must be a subclass. थोड़ा ट्रिकी है. मतलब protected अभी के लिए याद रखो, it is same package as well as different package if the class where you are creating the object. मतलब अभी यहाँ पे देखो, अभी आप B class है, B class is in another package और A class is in another package. तभी B को अगर मुझे देखो यहाँ पर B क्या है प्राइवेट, C क्या है प्रोटेक्टेड. अगर मुझे C यहाँ पर एक्सेस करना है तो B क्लास को मुझे सब क्लास बनाना पड़ेगा, चाइल्ड क्लास बनाना पड़ेगा. किसका? A क्लास का. तो आप कैसे कर सकते हो? एक्सटेंड्स A, extends class A, right? Then we will be able to access the C. दोनों प्राइवेट है क्या? Okay, C should be accessible. Why C is not able to access? Yeah, we can have multiple. Yeah, that also works. So what it means is it doesn't directly access you. ऐसा आप डायरेक्टली एक्सेस नहीं कर सकते हो. इसको कैसे एक्सेस कर सकते हो पता है? सी को आप बी का ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करो, बी बी इक्वल टू न्यू बी एंड देन वी डॉट सी. तो ऐसे एक्सेस करोगे उसे. चाइल्ड क्लास एक्सेस करते मतलब ये वाला. वंस अगेन सी मतलब अभी जो भी ए के मेंबर्स है वो बी के पास आ गए इनहेरिटेंस का यूज करके. दिस मीन्स इनहेरिटेंस मतलब बी क्लास चाइल्ड क्लास हो गया किसका, ए क्लास का. सो मेंबर्स ऑफ द ए क्लास आर नाउ पार्ट ऑफ बी क्लास. सो मेंबर्स ऑफ ए क्लास आर नाउ पार्ट ऑफ बी क्लास. तो इसलिए ये आप सी एक्सेस कर पा रहे हो. अगर आप मुझे यहाँ पे ट्राई करने का, ए ट्राई करो, ए इज ऑल्सो पब्लिक. बी ट्राई करो, बी विल नॉट बी एक्सेसिबल. डी ट्राई करो, default. B and D, B is private, D is default. So you are not able to access. This we will cover in the inheritance topic also. That time you will get more understanding what is subclass and everything. So that time you will understand more about protected also. Protected अभी के लिए याद रखो, protected members are accessible within the same package, plus they are accessible in the different package when that class is a subclass. When that class is a subclass. When that class is a subclass. Simple. Okay, let's try to wrap it up. So we are already started with access specifier, that is OOPS concepts. Now access specifiers will help you to restrict the access to the class components, classes and interfaces. In Java, access specifiers and access modifiers are oftenly interchangeably used, and both refer to the keywords that are used to control the access, classes, methods and variables. So modifiers are like this: final, static, abstract, like this, right? Okay. Remember, outer class cannot be private protected. So private and protected is only applicable for class members. It is not applicable for the outer class. So outer class can be only public or default, not private or protected. ठीक? And also local variables don't need access specifiers because लोकल वेरिएबल्स को आप एक्सेस स्पेसिफायर ऐड कर सकते हो क्या? नहीं, क्योंकि वो एक्सेस कहाँ तक हो सकते हैं? विद इन द मेथड्स ओनली. तो उनको एक्सेस स्पेसिफायर मत लगाओ. सो डू नॉट अप्लाई एक्सेस स्पेसिफायर ऑन दी लोकल वेरिएबल्स. ठीक है. और ऑल्सो there is one caveat: we can't apply access specifiers on instance block as well as static block. मतलब access specifier किसको नहीं चलेंगे? Instance block, static block and local variables. ठीक. Now access specifier, I have public. You can access in the same class? Yes. Same package? Yes. Different package? Yes. Subclass? Yes. Private अगर access specifier है member को, तो सेम क्लास से एक्सेस कर सकते हो बस, बाकी सब नो. डिफॉल्ट है तो सेम क्लास यस, सेम पैकेज यस, डिफरेंट पैकेज नो, सब क्लास आंसर इज यस, आंसर इज नो. डिफरेंट सब क्लास बोल रहा हूँ मैं, सब क्लास मतलब सब क्लास अगर आपका सेम पैकेज में तो एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. प्रोटेक्टेड सेम क्लास यस, सेम पैकेज यस, डिफरेंट पैकेज आंसर इज यस, आंसर इज नो, बिकॉज उस पैकेज में सब क्लास है. तो सब क्लास में एक्सेस हो सकता है क्या? Yes. That's it about your access specifiers. This is the first thing we have started with the OOPS concepts. Access specifiers will help you to restrict the access to the class components. So what are the different access specifiers we have in the Java? Private, public, private, protected and default. Public means that member can be accessed throughout the application. Default means within the same package. Private means within the same class. Okay, so encapsulation concepts is very easy and I will directly demonstrate that without explaining encapsulation. So what we have seen so far, we have seen first thing about the OOPS, that is access specifiers. So I will move everything inside the access specifiers. Refactor. Okay. Then I will create another package that will be encapsulation. I will create a class, let's say employee, and employee will have there are two things. Now if you see here, I have two variables, employee ID and employee name. Both are private. Can I access them outside of the class? Array, private data, that is private. This is private. Now if I try to access them, employee dot, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. Now if it is default, yes, of course you can do that. So employee dot, employee ID we can set, let's say 101, employee dot name equal to, let's say ABC. Right, I can do this if it is default. Now can I write -1, -101? We can do that, but usually let's say employee has age also. I have to maintain his age also, int age. Now by any chance age can be negative? Employee age. Now what happens? Now when data is not private, you can directly access. डेटा आपका प्राइवेट नहीं है तो आप डायरेक्टली एक्सेस कर सकते हो, एंड देयर इज नो कंट्रोल. तो मुझे डेटा, क्या डेटा आना चाहिए, क्या वैल्यू सेट होना चाहिए, ये मेरे कंट्रोल में होना चाहिए, राइट? अभी कुछ कंट्रोल है इसके ऊपर? नहीं, राइट? तो मैं इसे क्या करता हूँ, प्राइवेट. आई विल मेक दिस प्राइवेट, सो नो वन कैन एक्सेस दिस. I will make this as private. Now you cannot do this. Your access is revoked now. Now I want to set the value for employee. How do I set the value? क्या करना है, एम्प्लॉय ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किया, उसको एम्प्लॉय का आईडी मुझे चेंज करना है. अभी तो सारा जीरो नल ही हो गया. अभी आप एक्सेस, मतलब क्या है, कंटेंट क्या है उसका, एम्प्लॉय ऑब्जेक्ट का. एम्प्लॉय आईडी भी 0 है, एम्प्लॉय नेम नल होगा और एम्प्लॉय एज 0. मुझे चेंज करना है वैल्यूज. कैसे करेंगे? आप बोलोगे इसको पब्लिक कर दो, राइट? पब्लिक नहीं करना है, उसको वो प्राइवेट ही रहेंगे. दैट विल बी द प्राइवेट डेटा ओनली. हमें यही पे करना है, सेम क्लास में. तो ऑब्वियसली देयर इज नो यूज. सेम क्लास को तो क्यों करेंगे? I want to access the employee fields in this class, or I want to change the employee data, employee ID, employee name and employee age. How do I change? नहीं, प्राइवेट है ना, एक्सटेंड करेंगे तो भी प्राइवेट डेटा नहीं आएगा. हम एक चीज कर सकते हैं, हाँ, मेंबर्स कैन बी एक्सेसिबल विद इन द सेम क्लास. कहीं पर भी आप एक्सेस कर सकते हो. तो यहाँ पर मैं एक मेथड लिख दूँ, void set employee ID and I will accept employee ID. This is public. I will make this as public, so this is accessible anywhere. So I will write this dot employee ID equal to employee ID. I will assign the employee ID if employee ID is greater than 0. Then only I will assign. This check I can do, right? Now data cannot be directly accessible. Now I want to change the employee ID. I will say set employee ID and I will write 101. Now I want to set employee name, so I will write public void set employee name and I will accept string employee name and I will write this dot employee name equal to employee name. So I will be able to set the employee name also now. Employee dot set employee name. Let's say we have Sachin. Again, I want to change the value for this age also. So I will write public void set age, and I accept int age, and I will write this dot age equal to age. But this age will change only once, not only one, only once. If age is greater than 0, then only we will change the age, otherwise we will not do. Sorry, public, that should be public. ये जो मेथड्स हमने लिखे हैं राइट, इन मेथड्स को बोलते हैं setters, public setters. These are public setter methods. They do not return anything, but they accept the value and they set the value from local variable to instance variable. परफेक्ट. अभी मुझे उनका वैल्यू प्रिंट भी करना है, कैसे करेंगे? एम्प्लॉय डॉट एम्प्लॉय आईडी नहीं होगा, कैसे करेंगे? हम उसको लिखेंगे गेट मेथड. तो हम लिखेंगे पब्लिक, क्या करना है आपको, क्या इंटीजर वैल्यू चाहिए राइट, इंटीजर गेट एम्प्लॉय आईडी, रिटर्न करेंगे दिस डॉट एम्प्लॉय आईडी. दिस डॉट लिखने की जरूरत ही नहीं क्योंकि वहां पे एक ही वैल्यू है. सिमिलरली पब्लिक स्ट्रिंग गेट रिटर्न. Similarly for age, I will let get age, I will return the value, return employee only age. Perfect. हम यहाँ पे प्रिंट करेंगे एम्प्लॉय गेट एम्प्लॉय आईडी, गेट एम्प्लॉय नेम और गेट एज. तो इन जो मेथड्स हमने लिखी राइट, इनको बोलते हैं नहीं getters. These are called as public getters or getter methods. They are getting the value. देखो अभी first you have set the values. First you have set the values. Employee dot set age. I will set is let's say -90. Now can we set -90 now? No. Age will be 0 only. Age will be 0. Get employee ID will be 101. Employee name will be Sachin and age will be 0. Just hello. Hello. Okay. 101 Sachin and 0. So we are able to set the values and we are able to get the values. We are able to set the values with public setter methods and we are able to get the values with public getter methods. हाँ, तो इसलिए हमने ये एरर नहीं आएगा ना, ये यहाँ पे कंट्रोल आएगा, यहाँ पे एज चेक करेगा -90 ग्रेटर देन 0 फॉल्स, तो वैल्यू सेट नहीं होगा. उसके अगर दूसरा वैल्यू देते हैं हम 90, इट विल चेंज द वैल्यू. अभी जो हमने जो किया इस प्रोसेस को क्या बोलते हैं? जो हमने किया, हमने क्या क्या किया? हमने प्राइवेट डेटा सेट करा, हमने वी मेड द डेटा प्राइवेट एंड वी सेट द वैल्यूज विथ पब्लिक सेटर मेथड्स एंड we get the values with public getter methods. तो हमने क्या क्या किया? हमने डेटा किया प्राइवेट, उसको एक्सेस किया विद द हेल्प ऑफ पब्लिक गेटर्स एंड सेटर मेथड्स. क्यों किया? क्योंकि हमें बेटर कंट्रोल चाहिए डेटा पर. तो इसलिए हमने अभी जो मेथड्स आपने लिखी ये किस पे काम करती है? इसी डेटा पे. जो सेट करती है कौन सी? ये मेथड्स सेट करती है दीज वैल्यूज और गेट क्या करती है? दीज वैल्यूज ओनली. तो सेटर्स एंड गेटर्स आर वर्किंग ऑन दीज डेटा ओनली. Right, so we have created a class with private data and public getters and setters. तो इससे क्या हुआ? आपने जो डेटा एंड मेथड्स टुगेदर बाइंड किया. वी हैव बाइंड मेथड्स एंड डेटा टुगेदर. This process of binding data and methods together is called as encapsulation. So encapsulation, it is a process of hiding the data by making data private. What is encapsulation? It is a process of binding data with the methods as a single unit. So we are encapsulating them. So how do we achieve encapsulation? First thing, what is encapsulation? Binding of data and methods together. That is called as encapsulation. How do we achieve encapsulation? By making data members private and accessing them with the help of public getters and setter methods. We are accessing them with the help of public getters and setters. And why do we do encapsulation? To get better control on the data, to achieve data security, That's it. Congratulations. You have learned first OOPS concept. That's it. Now IDE is also smart enough. If you want to generate getters and setters, you just do getters and setter. Now what all fields you want to set the getters and setters, you select all this and your code is. तो मुझे आप फोर्स करोगे कस्टमर को कि सारा वैल्यू सेट करो, मुझे सारा वैल्यू सेट नहीं करना, मुझे पर्टिकुलर एक फील्ड सेट करना है, तो वही यूज करो, राइट? तो ये हो गया आपका पब्लिक गेटर्स एंड सेटर्स. ओके, लेट मी राइट. So what we have seen, encapsulation. It is a process of binding data and methods together as a single unit. Now how do we achieve encapsulation? This is a what question? This is a what? We achieve encapsulation by making data members private and providing public getters and setters. Now next question is why? Why do we need that? We need encapsulation to achieve data security and get better control on the data. That's it.
So getters and setters methods.
हाँ, public getters and setters बोल दो. No.
We can declare them as private.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
specifier.
Yes. So class members can be anything. Anything is private. You can make everything private. Simple. So you don't need to manually write the getters and setters. You can on the fly you can generate with the help of IDE also.